French farmers mobilized across the country to protest against the EU-Mercosur trade agreement.
Georgian opposition started round-the-clock protests against the results of what they say were rigged parliamentary elections.
7 weeks after the national elections, coalition negotiations have begun in Austria.
Large-scale Russian airstrikes continue in Ukraine this Monday, targeting energy infrastructure and residential areas in Odessa and other regions.
Aujourd'hui, avec le métier qu'on fait, c'est vraiment très compliqué. Et aujourd'hui, on a du mal à y arriver. Et c'est pour ça qu'aujourd'hui, on est en limite à être dans le cercueil. Parce que la culture, aujourd'hui, on a du mal à nous entendre. Et on n'est pas assez soutenu.
Les conducteurs des gros tracteurs, s'il vous plaît, sur le rond-point.
Georgia's opposition and its supporters started round-the-clock protests on the streets of Tbilisi, calling for new parliamentary elections. Protesters rejected the results of the country's recent election amid allegations the vote was rigged, an accusation which ruling party Georgian Dream denies. Demonstrators blocked one of the capital's central streets, vowing to remain there until their demands are met. Election observers described the elections as taking place in a divisive atmosphere marked by instances of bribery, double voting and physical violence. Many Georgians viewed the vote as a pivotal referendum on the country's effort to join the European Union. The bloc suspended Georgia's membership application process indefinitely in June after the country's parliament passed a foreign influence law that critics say mimics Moscow's crackdown on civil society.
Coalition negotiations have officially begun in Austria following several rounds of exploratory talks. 7 weeks after the national elections, a preliminary decision on Austria's future government was made on Monday. The far-right Freedom Party won the national elections in September. However, Austria's federal president gave the mandate to form a government to the runner-up, Karl Nehammer of the Austrian People's Party, as no party was willing to work together with the FPÖ and its party head Herbert Kickl.
Ich darf Sie heute informieren, dass wir die Sondierungsphase abgeschlossen haben und formell Regierungsverhandlungen mit SPÖ und NEOS aufnehmen. Gleichzeitig möchte ich klarstellen, dass wir noch nicht am Ziel jetzt einer Koalition oder eines gemeinsamen Regierungsprogrammes angekommen sind. Wir gehen jetzt in tiefe Regierungsverhandlungen, die ganz viele Detailbereiche berührt. Der Ausgang dieser Verhandlungen ist nach wie vor weiterhin offen.
Nehammer's coalition with the Social Democrats and Liberals excludes the FPÖ. A three-party alliance, as is being proposed, would be a first in Austria.
A Russian airstrike has left at least 11 people dead in Ukraine, including 2 children, after a missile hit a 9-story residential building in the northern town of Sumy. It is being described by officials as the largest attack in recent months.
Жена уже спать легла, а я только телевизор, только накрылся, как бахнуло, окна все повылетали, я одеялом сел накрыться, на меня рамы полетели, стекла полетели. В спальню к ней забежал, она поднялась тоже, на ней рама лежит. Двойные двери выбило даже. а окна все, да, двухкомнатная квартира, мы вдвоем, все полностью повлетало.
The drone and missile attack came as fears are mounting about Moscow's intentions to devastate Ukraine's power generation capacity ahead of the winter.
Переймаюсь емоції, у мене на руках жінка вмерла тільки що. 200 ногу. Подавала признаки жизни, взламывала дверь. Но не спасли. В квартире взломали дверь, она ползла к двери и стекла кровью.
Нам
Не хватило хвилини, до 5 взламували двері.
Also this Monday morning, at least 10 people were killed and more than 40 injured in Russian strikes on the Black Sea port of Odessa, officials said. Despite the difficult times, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky started off his week handing out state honors to troops in the Donetsk region.
Привітати вас особисто. Тут, в Покровську, напружений напрямок. Я знаю, що ви завдяки тільки вашій міцності Схід не окупований тотально Російською Федерацією. Ворог щоденно отримує відповідь від вас, від ваших побратимів. Прошу передати їм від мене велику вдячність від всього народу України.
Monday's attacks come just a day after US President Joe Biden gave Ukraine permission to use US-manufactured long-range missiles in Russian territory.
Nearly 1,000 days since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Washington has allegedly authorized the use of US-provided ATACMS for the strikes deep into Russia. What difference would it make, and what targets can Kyiv strike now? The Institute for the Study of War states that the partial lifting of restrictions on Ukraine's use of Western-provided long-range weapons against military objects within Kursk region only will not completely deprive Russian forces of their sanctuary in Russian territory, as hundreds of military objects remain within ATACMS range in other Russian border regions. In the end of August, the think tank released this map of known military and paramilitary objects in Russia which Ukraine can strike. And now this line right here shows the maximum range of Ukrainian ATACMS, especially their 300 kilometers variant. There are at least 245 of known Russian military and paramilitary objects here in this range. Out of this total number, there are only 16 air bases from where Russia has moved almost all of its aircraft. At least 225 known objects remained in range of ATACMS, with at least 15 being in the region of Kursk. By the end of August, there were also at least 11 sites here known as Russian military land use, areas designated for military training and testing purposes. But these estimates were made before over 10,000 North Korean soldiers have been deployed to this area. The Institute for the Study of War continues to assess that Russian forces will benefit from any partial sanctuary if Western states continue to impose restrictions on Ukraine's ability to defend itself, and that the US should allow Ukraine to strike all legitimate military targets within Russia's operational and deep rear, within range of US-provided weapons, not just those in Kursk region.
With the first week over and ministers arriving on Monday, COP29 in Baku enters its final phase. Dubbed the Finance COP, it aims to agree on a new climate financing regime as the current one expires next year. Now, the new collective quantified goal aims for trillions, according to the UN's Trade and Development Organization.
We made this study and we ran a model to try to establish a bracket for the new goal. And we came out with this document that says that the goal should start from 1.1 trillion for next year. And it is more or less in the range of what has been discussed by other studies or proposed by other studies too.
But experts say this will be a challenge to achieve.
No, I think that these are difficult discussions. Let's not try to to overshadow the difficulties that we are confronting. And obviously it's not only about the quantum, it's also about the responsibilities within the quantum, what will come from where and for what.
Governments are negotiating the new agreement, but the private sector will play a key role in its implementation. Multilateral development banks like the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development play a key role between countries and companies. Its president, Odile Renaud-Bassot, told Euronews that alongside the financial goal, ambitious policies from countries at COP29 are crucial.
I mean, having a goal is not what is also, it's not the only, I mean, a solution per se. So it's a mean, but what is also very important is the commitments taken by all countries around the world about the national determined contribution, how they will, what kind of objectives they set for themselves in terms of level of renewable, getting out of coal, getting out of gas, and so forth. So the national objective each country sets for himself or is very important also. And because having money, if you don't have project, will not deliver anything.
The Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce emphasized the need for ambitious targets.
We expect governments to lead on this. We expect governments to actually be seized with the same level of engagement and intensity as when the global financial crisis hit, and we expect action.
At the end of this week, ministers face a critical moment. Will they agree on the new financing goal and announce ambitious policies and projects for their countries?